Shall we begin?
Hey there, boys and girls. Bob Kearns, the unsung photographer. And this evening, I want to show you a couple of interesting possible gifts you can bug somebody to buy you for Christmas. Last week, I had a bit of a rant on a product from MacFun called Luminar. And then they, after a week or two, they turned around and fixed the issue I had with it, which was the cropping ratios. And today, the 20th of December, On1 released their new Photo RAW tool, which is it's called On1 RAW, and it is a really nice piece of software as well. In some ways, these two are direct head-to-head competitors, and in other ways, they are direct head-to-head competitors with Lightroom. And of course, you know Lightroom's costing you $120 a year. And both of these products right now, Luminar is on sale for $59. $49. They give you another additional discount. Excuse me. If you have other MacFun software, and I know very few photographers that own a Mac that don't have at least something from MacFun, no matter how old it is. If you can prove you have it, then you'll get that additional discount. On1 is, let me see, what's their discount here? Is $79.99, so $80. So $60 and $80 respectively. The editors are surprisingly similar in concept. However, On1 Photo RAW does have a lot of file management tools, photo management tools, that it's sort of a cross between Lightroom and Adobe Bridge. Very similar. Somewhere between those two products and how it manages it. It lets you put your files on disk wherever you want them, and then it essentially builds a database of where they are at their locations. And if you like, you can manage it within the program. They're both really pretty interesting. Now, I had promised you a full review on Luminar, but I wanted to get this out while these sales were still on before the holidays, and you had a few days before Christmas. I am very impressed by both these pieces of software at this point. Compared to Lightroom, and some of the speed issues we've all had with Lightroom and some of the other off again, on again things that go on with that. These pieces of software are just as robust, and in some ways more so. Let's have a quick look at Luminar here one more time. Load image. Still a little odd that we have to load an image, but like I've said before, why wouldn't you? What have we got down here? Let's get something a little different. Old Eyes. 2016. Pick something from the World War II workshop this summer. That was a lot of fun. Let's look at some thumbnails. I'm going to zoom in a little bit because my eyes are old. I have old eyes, which apparently I get called out on a lot on the internet, which I find a little insulting. But regardless, here's a good one. This is a beautiful Nikki. A lot of fun. This kid's got a great sense of humor. She just smiles the whole time. And this day was particularly horrifying because it was like 90 million degrees and there was no shade, no place to hide. And this was late in the day and she's still smiling. So, excuse me. You can tell I've got a little bit of a frog in my voice here. You can see down here you've got presets. These are the basic presets. Just for fun, let's hit a preset here real quickly. Here's Image Enhancer. Pop. Why, that's not terrible, like at all. That's pretty impressive. But let's say for some reason that we were horribly unsatisfied. Let's go something that looks a little more Kodachromy. That looks a little more Kodachromy, but it's horribly dark. So we could back that off, or we get right around there, and we can still edit these. So here's all the filters. Every effect or control that you have on an image is referred to as a filter. And in each preset is a collection of filters that remember particular settings. This, however, if we have a look at Nikki here, remove color cast, method auto 1. What happens if we just shut that filter off? You can see the color changes drastically, or we can turn it back on. We can adjust the amount. We can shift how much of the color is fussed with here. Or we can click right up here. Oh, that's the layers. And what I don't see here, there's structure, clarity, color contrast. But what don't I see? There's another filter here that I don't see. And that's exposure, because I think this has gone a little dark on us. So look, exposure. So let's add it. Zoom back out again. And now we can just ramp our exposure up a little bit. Look at that. That's just like absolutely incredible. So you can then build a whole set of these, make whatever modifications you like, and then save those as presets. But let's say, for instance, you knew that you were going to do portraits today, and you didn't really want presets per se. You just wanted a place to... Oh, workspace. Duh. How hard was that? You can... Let's say here's the portrait workspace. Load that. And what it does is just load the tools with no particular settings, but these would be the ones that you might use for a portrait session. You might want to change your color temperature a little bit. Actually, we do have a little gray on here. Might as well use that. I still think that's a little cool, don't you? But regardless, let me not get carried away. You can set your color temperature, skin tones, saturation, soft glow, high key, vignette. These are all specific effects that you can change the parameters of. I don't even know what half this stuff does yet. That's essentially a brightness, right? And there's certain parameters under there. Glow, standard high key, dynamic high key. Let's see what dynamic high key does. And this is all cool stuff. It's just tons of stuff to play with. And very, very flexible. But just to show you, let's just do a couple more presets just for giggles. Jim Nix, he's one of the photographers that is on their team. This is called Dramatic Grungy, and it looks terrible on her. Makes her look literally dirty. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of like a faded portrait, like it was actually taken in World War II. I think that's kind of neat. You know, really beat up old Kodachrome. Something with a blue tint. And a black and white. Also very nice. But you can see that it's capable of a lot of looks. There are a couple of peculiarities and a couple of really powerful things. Let's just do this as a quick example here. Let's say I wanted to put another set of adjustments on here. So I would add I can add a layer. Add a new adjustment layer, add a new image layer, or create a new stamped layer. I'm just going to add an adjustment layer. And on this adjustment layer, I can go ahead and add an entire workspace, right? Or see this layer here? I can add monochrome magic workspace, and I can do other things to this particular portrait, or I could change it to landscape or street, and then have another entire set of filters on top of the other ones. All right, you can see how it's making some changes here. I'm going to crank that just to be drastic so you can see that it's doing something. I mean, it's horrible looking, but not the point. And then if I wanted to get rid of that layer, I just turn that layer off, and I still have the effects on the layer beneath it. All very cool. But let's say I wanted to add a mask to that layer, and I only wanted that really terrible high thing on the grass, say. So let's go in here. Let's turn this layer on. All right, and we're going to add that horrifying effect just to the grass. Turn the opacity up 100% here so you can see it. And I can actually show my mask. See? It's being drawn here. Oops. That's better. Okay. I'm still learning the controls here, so forgive me for minor screw-ups. And let's shut that when I want to see where the mask is. But you can see now we have that coarse, uber sharpened effect just in certain areas. We don't have to have it on her legs here or anything else. What say, let's get rid of that layer. Let's make that layer go away. And let's lose the filters here. Let's go back to a color preset just for fun. You see how quickly I'm moving things around on this image. Let's say we had the saturation tool, not changing much. Color temperature, split color, brightness, contrast. Oh, there we go. The contrast is pretty obvious. But we can jack it up more to just make it even more so, right? So let's make it dark around the outside. Let's say we wanted a mask, but only on this. We can select our paint tool, pick our effect, and now we can just paint in just our effect, right? And this works so wonderfully similar to Photoshop that I can use my Wacom tablet without any changes. It just naturally does what it does. So that's pretty cool. If I hit my X key, it's add and remove. Paint that out a little, paint this in. And you can see how powerful this can be. It's really incredible. Now, they do have a list of things that they intend to add. I have a tendency to say, well, when they add it, that's great. They're really looking to be a Lightroom replacement. If you notice when we loaded this was a RAW file. It's quite fantastic. If you do a file save, you would save their own proprietary format, which is an LMNR, a Luminar file, which I believe would just save the edits, but I'm not positive on that. Don't hold my face to a fire on that one. Or if I wanted to create something I could use in another piece of software, I could go ahead and do an export. And if I export this, I can save it as a PSD file. a PDF, a JPEG 2000. I don't know why everybody does that. A TIFF file, a GIF or a GIF, depending on what side of the country you're from, PNG or a JPEG. And then use it in whatever piece of software I feel that's appropriate for, or save it out as a finished product as I like. Now that's just a quick glance at Luminar. Digging into all the filters that are available here, if you look at the list, I mean, it's a long list. Oops. We just want to look at this filter list. Excuse the zooming in and out. I'm sure that's driving you a little crazy. Look at how long this is. There is all kinds of cool stuff in here. Tremendous amount of controls. And you mix and match as you see fit on whatever piece of artwork that you're working on or photograph. It's really quite amazing. I am thoroughly impressed. As I mentioned before, they fixed the crop tool. They've got just absolutely tons of options here. Oh, look at this one. Now, how cool is that? Want to make a cover for your Facebook page? There it is. Now, how cool is that? Awesome, right? So, that's a quick look at Luminar and the editing power involved in here. You've just got all the tools. The erase tool. Wait a minute. Let's do the erase tool. I have to show you this because this is ultimately the absolute coolest thing in the universe. I'm just so excited about it. I know it's terrible. I'm very easily amused nowadays. All right, let's grab the erase tool. Boop. And let's say, well, let me find something here to erase. I really hate this pipe. I mean, I thoroughly hate this pipe a lot. All right, it's preparing. It takes a little bit. And once it's done preparing, I'm going to paint over this pipe. I'm expressing my pipe rage. And I'm going to take off now. Watch. It's really working like a champ, isn't it? It's absolutely not doing a damn thing. That's what's going on. So let's try applying. I go to erase. See? Too much software at once is hard on the brain. It's erasing. Erasing. Takes a little bit. There it is. And look, that sucker's gone. I mean, absolutely gone. Yeah, you could do a little touching up here, but generally speaking, for a quick, rough demo, that's very impressive. I've done this on other things, and it's just done an absolutely tremendous job. Great tools, really nice editor. I don't know what more you would need to do simply photo editing and enhancement. You can do some compositing in here. I haven't done a lot of that yet, so I don't know to what level it would be, but I think this is a really nice piece of software from MacFun. And, you can't beat $59 and you own it. That's really tremendous. Also, this week, today, in fact, this is why I was inspired to do this, right? Here we have On1's Photo RAW. And this is another lovely piece of software. There's all these optional videos here for you to look on startup. I haven't unchecked that yet. You can obviously pick any of these. This is your import export file management. This is called the browser. I'm so sorry, excuse me. Let's go to my Lightroom catalog here. And let's go into this year. And look at some kitty cats. Just because it's the internet. And why not have pictures of cats, right? If you'll notice, you'll see stars on these. Those are from Lightroom. So it's actually reading the ratings from Lightroom. That's very impressive. So let's have a kitty cat portrait here. Double click on that and open it up. This has a tremendous power, this browser. If I go back and I hit the G key just like Lightroom, I can rename batches of files. I can manage them. I can move them on disk. I can sort through them. Look, there's my data, ISO 3200, 1/50th of a second at f3 with a 105 millimeter 2.8 lens. It gives you all a good chunk of information about this picture. You can see your IPTC, your EXIF data. It's very powerful. You can add keywords, author description. There's a lot of metadata management that can go on here. If I right-click on a file, remember we're zoomed in here. So let me zoom out a little bit. Let's say if I right-click on this file, I've got even more. I can add colors, ratings, like, dislike, and clear. I guess that's similar to your flags. Copy, rename, add to indexed folders. We can index this whole folder so it's maintained for rapid access in the database. It doesn't have to be read all the time. We can create albums. We can send it to a particular module. We can send it to Lightroom, Photoshop. This is a really nice photo management tool. I have a tendency to blow over these things, but they really are very important. If you're going to compete with Lightroom, this is a viable tool for, what was it, $80? I don't want to misstate that. Yeah, $80. Oh, well, that's up $80 for an upgrade if you have the On1 product, but it's $100 flat if it's a new purchase for you. So it's still worth it. I'm sorry. Okay, let's look at some of the tools here. If we wanted to do compositing, well, in this case, let's go. There's a develop module. That rings a bell, I bet, for Lightroom users. How similar does this look? We're a little tad blurry here. Zoom in. Yep. Kitty cat's got a little motion blur going on because, well, what was it, 1/50th of a second? So we want him to be pretty. So let's just slide the structure down a little bit. Maybe warm it up a little bit. Kick the vibrance up a little bit. How bright are our highlights? Yeah, we'll keep them down. Shadows, don't really need those either. And that's just a real quick. I could do more with it if there was more wrong with it. But there's not really. Shadows, like a little more contrast in the shadows. That looks okay. All right, so that's a quick develop. Not very hard. The real power here is when we get into the effects panel. And the interface changes subtly. We have a set of tools over here where we can crop. Adjustment brush is essentially a masking tool. We have gradient adjustment tools. We have refining tools. We have eraser tools. We have fix tools, retouch brush they call it. All wonderful stuff that we are familiar with from Photoshop, but they have it all in here. So let's just, for the giggles here, let's grab the retouch brush, and let's say that this was a blemish down here, this little part. Let's just make that go away. Gone. clean the carpet up a little bit. Gone. Here's try something bigger just for fun. Let's get rid of whatever the heck this is. Gone. Pretty good. I'm impressed. What happens if we make the brush bigger? Again, same keys as you would use in Photoshop. Gone. You can't, and it's fast. And we're working on a RAW file, boys and girls. This is a RAW file. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's extremely impressive. So let's shut that tool off here. How do we do that? Let's go back to our zoom tool. Now, once we're in effects, similar to our other product, we have presets up to wazoo, and they give you plenty to start out with, along with tutorial videos, and they also have, I guess you would call it like a club or a paid membership that you can join, and there's all sorts of training and tutorials and on both photography and this product throughout the year. Matt Kozlowski, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Apologize if I didn't, Matt, who was formerly with Kelby One, has been working with On1 Media, and if you like Matt, if you're familiar with him from the Photoshop guys days, he does a lot of videos for these folks, and they even produce Lightroom videos. Matt does, and On1 supports him in doing that. So that at the end of the day, it's really a photo education, more all-around than simply focusing on their own products, which I think is very generous and a good way to bring people in. All right, presets. Presets, they have several folks who go ahead and create these presets as architecture presets. When you have previews here, this is not an architectural cat. This is a cat. They don't have cat presets, I don't think, but I'm not going to be. Let's look at the Liz Lepage signature collection, and we can see our previews here on the side. Or, if we like, we can click on this little group here to the right, and you'll actually see them spread across the screen so you can get a better idea of what they look like. So let's do a black and white kitty. Bang. Nice. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, you can go in here and readjust your black and white interpretation, the reds and yellows. You can add more filters. You can adjust the ones that are here. You can remove some. You can add more effects. This also supports individual masking for each effect. Also similar to the Luminar product. The methodology is a little different. Let's say we wanted to add a mask here. If you look here in the tools, you'll actually see hide and show the mask, right? And then we could invert that mask, invert it back, or we could go ahead and paint on that mask with any of the masking tools. Say we wanted to paint with this one, right? You can see I'm masking that out a bit, and it's getting a little darker back here. That's because I'm essentially changing the exposure. Make it more extreme. Which doesn't look half bad, actually. And there we go. It's very similar in operation. The difference here being is that everything is non-destructive. So this basically will, if you set it up to, will save a sidecar file along with your raw image. And similar to Lightroom, it'll keep your edit for that image, and you don't have to deal with another copy, like a Photoshop file, PSD file, or a TIFF file, like you do with so many of the plugins that you have to use. Ironically, both of these products will work as plugins to Lightroom. I don't know. I think they started out as plug-in sources as they were developed, and so they still have that functionality. But really, until at least with the On1 product, it's looking to be a complete replacement. Luminar is really just replacing the develop module for now, in my humble opinion. It certainly is more powerful than just the development module. You have a lot of layered controls you don't have in Lightroom. You have compositing tools you don't have in Lightroom. You have a bazillion effects that you can paint in or overlay and control that you don't have in Lightroom. It's really much more powerful in that sense as an as a creative tool than Lightroom is. So I would, and the same can be said for On1, but On1 has the additional file management tools for $100. So $60 you get a really dynamite editor without the file management that you can still use Lightroom with, though they're advertising that by the end of next year they will have lots of those features too. So it is aiming to be a Lightroom replacement eventually, but for now I'm still really impressed. On1, while folks are making it difficult, if you really need a photo management tool now, if you haven't, if you're anxious to get out of the Adobe monthly deal, then hey, this is a really good thing to go for. So there you have it, On1 Photo RAW and Luminar from MacFun. Two really nice tools, reasonably priced, ready for Christmas, both downloadable. You get lots of extras. What are the extras we have here in the full version? You get master courses, ebooks, a whole mess of presets. The technical support, I've worked with the technical support of both these people, both these companies, and they're both very, very similar. Both have good support. They both do get back to you, and they do their best to help you out with your issues. I'm pretty comfortable with both of these groups of people. But which one? I don't know yet. They're both brand new. For me, I don't know which one yet. Again, excuse me. Sorry for the frog. And well, that's it, boys and girls, for the day. All right. Even if you're on the right path, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Have a merry, merry, happy, happy, holiday, joy, great new year, all that good stuff coming up. And I'll see you next time.
Shall we begin?